Hi, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Issues and Inspiration. This is Marivir here in New York City, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube. And with me, of course, is my lovely friend in New Jersey. Hello, Grace. Kamusta ka dyan?
Hello, Marivir. Good evening to you and good evening to our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to I. How are you,
Yes,
Marivir?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm doing well. I just had my hair treatment.
Oh, wow, that's
Self
good
care,
for
and
you.
I can see that you are somewhere not in your usual place at home. Parang lumipat ka yata ng spot.
Well, I kind of fixed my office space in the house. So here I
So
am.
that's your office.
Medyo magulo pa, but I'm working on it.
I see the beautiful pictures of your two sons.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's good. That's good. So,
Yes.
Grace, we
Mhm.
have a great guest tonight. We are honored to have him with us, right? And
Correct. That's right, Marivir. Tonight
pasalamat tayo.
really Tonight is a special episode because we will have the opportunity to get to know our new Philippine Consul General in New York,
Yes,
and
and we will
this
introduce him using this
yes.
video that you lovingly and beautifully made.
So, I hope to see you there. Maraming salamat po.
Hi there again. Welcome po, ConGen, to Issues and Inspiration. Thank you for your time with us.
Good evening, Conscience.
Good evening, Grace and Marivir. Thank you for having me here in Issues and Inspiration.
Yes,
Well, we
of
thank
course.
you. It's a weekend, Conscience, but you made time for us. Maraming salamat po.
Yeah. Would say hi to our viewer, Ryan
Mhm.
Compendio, a good friend, and also from the consulate. Good evening to you, Ryan. Thank you for watching. And
All
so,
right.
Grace, you can ask our ConGen your first question.
Yes, Conjan, we have invited members of the film community tonight, and just like us, they are very excited in this conversation. So, yes, Marivir, I'll ask the first question. So, Conjan, you hit the ground running when you came here on March 30th. How is it immersing and working with the Filipino community so far?
Well, hitting the ground running, yes. Shooter, when we came in, we had the incident involving our kababayan Bill Macari and the entire surge in violence against Filipinos and other Asian Americans. So, doon ako nakatutok
Mhm.
the first few days.
Mm-hmm.
And in the succeeding days, I was able to engage members of the Filipino community, most of the time virtually, but after a few days, we started receiving kababayan in person at the consulate. So I'm really happy to have these engagements with them, have these conversations with our kababayan. I've seen a lot of organizations that are really active and want
Mhm.
to be partners with the consulate in serving our people, our kababayan, not only here in the United States, Northeast, but also back home in the Philippines. So talagang napakarami, no? Napakaraming kababayan ang gustong tumulong. And we, of course, are more than ready to partner with them. In fact, this morning I was in Jersey City where we
Mm-hmm.
had this self-defense training in partnership with the Filipino Community Center Foundation. So we had close to 50 people who participated in that self-defense training, which was conducted in response to the surge in Asian hate
Right.
crimes that have affected some of our kababayan. So I am very pleased with our engagement with the Filipino community, and of course, we will continue to reach out to them. Uh, this today, it was very busy days. We started
Mm-hmm.
at 8:30. The first activity was that self-defense training. Then we went to Paramos for this food distribution
Wow.
activity, and then there's this commemoration of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month by the Filipino community in Bergen County. I was able
Mm-hmm.
to meet our elected Filipino American officials there, our nurses, and other kababayan. After which, we were invited by the Siliman University Alumni Association in
Dami.
Naya, and then I had to rush back. So we
For the show.
part in the show. So
Oh my God.
okay,
Grabe.
okay na, because
Talaga.
we really want to engage the community. Sabi nga, yung kailangan talagang makausap namin, ano? Because
Mhm.
only by really going to them that we will be able to know the situation sa ground. And
Right.
I made it a point that sabi ko, we need feedback. We need feedback from the community on a lot of issues. But not just issues, ano, but
Mhm.
also yung mga recommendations nila, mga suggestions nila on how we could improve the services of the consulate. Kuminsan kasi hindi na umaabot sa amin. So that's why when I meet with our kababayan, I tell them, you could go directly to me. Ipaabot nyo diretso sa akin if there are observations that you have made that you want us to improve on. And
Mm-hmm.
as I've said, we welcome feedback, positive or negative, but hopefully positive. Diba? Gusto namin
Mm-hmm.
marinig yan para maayos namin kung may pagkukulang man kami. Diba? So,
That's
ganun
right.
yung approach natin dyan. So, even yung mga undocumented nating kababayan, marami yan. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been trying to reach out to tell them na the consulate is here especially also for them, di ba? Dahil sila yung vulnerable sector. So we
Right.
want them to trust us because we are in a position to help. I know there are apprehensions, there are misplaced perceptions that, if they go to
Mm-hmm.
the consulate, baka we turn them into immigration authorities. Hindi po totoo yan. Hindi po totoo. So we would like to share kababayan, especially those undocumented and out of status na huwag mag-hesitate to reach out to the consulate if they have problems. At makakatulong naman kami, especially in cases where, we've had unfortunate cases where kababayan who are undocumented pass away and they have no resources, their families have no resources to bring them home. We
Mm-hmm.
can come in and help them. The Department of Foreign Affairs, to the Office of the Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs, has funds allocated for that purpose. So marami kami may tutulong actually. So yun yung panawagan natin sa ating mga kababayan, mga undocumented, na
Mm-hmm.
no, please reach out to us. Please talk to us so we will be able to help you.
That's a good assurance naman directly coming from you, ConGen. Because
Of
that's true.
course.
May stigma talaga. They don't want to be within the perimeter, in fact, of the
Because by
Philippine
default,
Center because of that
we cannot blame
bias
our
or
people, because by default,
prejudice.
government is always, uh, fall short of their expectations. Ganun na yung
Yeah.
mentality ng mga tao. Di ba? Talagang
Yeah.
palpak yung government, palpak yung consulate, hindi mo maasahan yan. And not only the Philippines, also even here in the United States, a lot
Right.
of people would see their own governments like that they always would
Mm-hmm.
say they deserve better. Of course, our citizens deserve better. And we would want to do that. Of course, within the available resources that we have at the consulate, we will strive to improve our services.
That's great.
Right.
ConGen,
Thank
I'd
you.
like to backtrack a little bit on your. Now you're here in New York, but before that, you were in very dangerous places. mga assignment mo nasa Iraq and Libya, and that was different. And so I'd like to show this. You were looking for these the graves of those who were kidnapped na mga Filipinos, and finally you were able to find them. And here is also another picture, naka full battle gear kayo. And then I see your house is like naka-garrison kayo. It's different out there compared mo sa New York. But then you have was it a surprise that the surge of anti-Asian hate crimes was very pronounced when you got in? And how does that resonate with you?
Well, the photos you showed, the first one was in Libya, and the
Mm-hmm.
two photos, the
This
two
one?
that one is in Libya, no.
Mm-hmm.
This one was when we tried to locate the remains of four kababayan who were kidnapped by ISIS in 2015
Right.
and executed, but their remains were never found. So I met with the families before I left for Tripoli in 2019, and I gave them a promise that one way or another we will find their loved ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that before I leave for New York, I would make a last ditch effort to find them, and we were successful. We were able to
Great.
locate the grave sites of our Port Kababayan with the help of Libyan authorities.
Mm-hmm.
So yung two other photos were in Iraq. Nakita mo nga yung malaking gate, ano? It's a steel gate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yun yung nakaharang sa harapan ng embassy natin doon, because when we were there, that was the height of the ISIS onslaught, with extremists just being a few hundred kilometers from the capital, which was Baghdad. And every day you have terrorist bomb attacks
Yes.
taking place. In fact, next week would mark the sixth anniversary of the bombing of the Babylon Warwick Hotel. I
Mm-hmm.
was in the hotel when it was hit by a suicide car bomber.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yung experience mo doon is really different from what we would have here in New York. But I guess it's because I was a journalist, Marivir, we worked
Mhm.
together with the Filipino
Yes.
teachers, diba? Back in
Oo.
those days. So I think it's a journalist in me that uh, drove me to go to these places that are underserved, and we know we
Uh-huh.
have Kabayan there, and they too deserve assistance from our government. They need diplomats to effectively look after their safety and security. So I
Right.
guess having been a journalist prepared me for such situations. And in Libya, for instance, when I arrived there, the
Mm.
civil war broke out, and we were able to look after our community, and we came out of the civil war with only three Filipinos wounded. Hindi tayo namatayan doon. But unfortunately, while the war was raging, the
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus pandemic also broke out. And we actually lost more people during the pandemic compared to the Civil War. We lost
Yes.
about seven Filipinos, most of them frontliners, and more than 150 nurses and other hospital workers from the Philippines tested positive for the virus. So, ganun ka komplikado yung sitwasyon dun sa Libya. But we were able to assist our people. We were able to repatriate almost 300 kababayan in the 2 years that I was there. We were able to provide assistance to them when they needed food, because many of them lost their jobs or were displaced as a result of the pandemic. We were able to provide PPEs for them, like face shields, which they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have, and which we had to source from friends in the Philippines. So, marami tayong nagawa. And, we were talking about Asian hate. So we encountered that already in Tripoli when I was there,
Okay.
when the kababayan have been mistaken for Chinese. So they know, the people in Libya know that the virus originated in China, and there are not many Chinese nationals in Libya. So because of our Asian features, they easily mistook us for Chinese. So may mga harassment doon na nangyari, but we were able to do something about it. There was this case where one oil worker from the Philippines manifested symptoms, and he was brought to Tripoli from an offshore oil platform. But the problem was somebody leaked the information that the Filipino tested positive for the virus, and then pinakita pa yung passport at saka yung picture niya. So I
Oh
was
my.
really, really upset and at the same time really shocked. So nung binasa ko yung mga comments which were in Arabic, and I just had them translated, nakita ko yung isa doon na comment na sinabi, kill him, patayin nyo yan.
Oh
So
my.
nagpanic talaga kami doon. So I had to talk to authorities from the National Center for Disease Control, and I said, ano yung test result ng Filipino? And
Mm.
the head told me he's negative. So I said, can you please issue a statement saying that the Filipino national who was brought to Tripoli was negative for the virus. Medyo hesitant pa nung una, but I said, it's a matter of life and death. So I explained the situation, and he issued a correction.
Mhm.
So naayos yun, but after a few months, nung talagang nagka-surge, yung ginawa kasi nila doon when they released the number of people who test positive, nakalagay yung nationality. So nakalagay doon Philippines or any other country or Libya. So again, I had to go to them and said, kailangan to ba yung nationality? Kasi you're opening our nationals to danger, di ba? You're
Right,
exposing
right.
them to danger. So pwede bang wag na lang mention yung nationality? So I was able to convince them. So in succeeding reports, they would just put Libyan and non-Libyan. So
Oh,
yun yung
see.
gawa natin doon. So kaya walang masyadong problema compared to New York.
Yeah. Well, New York is,
Discrimination. But when I got here,
yeah.
syempre, yung nangyari kay Vilma Cal was really disturbing. Because,
Mhm.
65-year-old Filipina who could be
Right.
your mother, your aunt or elder sister na makita mong gagawin na yan, talagang nabigla ako. And I've been telling people, I thought New York would be more relaxed compared
Yeah.
to places I've been in the past 5 years. Diba? So, ito na yung sumalubong sa akin. And talagang mas shocking when you would know that ang dami pala. So we've
Mhm.
got 12 cases of hate crimes or incidents involving Filipinos. Yung kay Noel Quintana and Vilma Cari,
Yes.
the high-profile ones. But meron pang iba. And as you know, the first action that we took was to activate the hotline of the
Mhm.
consulate so that kababayan could report uh, hate crime cases that where they could have been victims or they know of people being victims. At kaya umabot tayo ng 12, but we think there are more. Ayaw lang
Yeah.
mag-report sa ating mga kababayan because they think, hassle lang to sa amin, hindi naman ako nasaktan, okay lang,
Right.
or undocumented ako, baka pag nagsumbong ako, ma-deport ako,
Mhm.
or nahiya ako kasi di ako marunong mag-English eh. Di ba? Yung mga ganun, para,
Yes.
And
Correct.
just to emphasize yung point namin na marami pang incidents na hindi namin nalalaman. I went to my doctor about 2 weeks ago, and while we were discussing patient hate, he said, "Oh, I have this Filipino patient who is 70 years old. While entering her apartment building in Sunnyside,
Mhm.
was just beaten up by one guy and ended up in the ICU. This was
Oh,
in
wow.
February, and it's not in the case files. So, ayun yung sinasabi natin na we should also be responsible enough to at least report. If you don't want to report it to NYPD, at least inform the consulate so we could put together all this information and then assess the information, analyze the information, and then share it with the community. So if community members give us the information, then for instance, we could tell them that based on our analysis of the incidents involving Asian hate are taking place mostly in the subways.
Mhm.
Diba?
Right.
And
Right.
this particular train line, so let's say our train at this particular time. So pwede natin sabihin, wag kayong magbiyahe sa our train between 9 to 10 in the evening kasi maraming nangyayari ano dyan, diba? So, yun yung gusto sana natin mangyari. We would
Mhm.
like to encourage our kababayan to
Come
cooperate
forward.
with us, to help us so we could help other kababayan. And as I've said also, we started working with other community organizations and coming up with initiatives to raise the awareness of our people on how they could defend themselves or how they
Mm-hmm.
avoid ending up in such situations. So, ganun yung ginagawa natin ngayon. And we hope to replicate what we did in Jersey City this morning in the succeeding weeks.
That's great. Would like
Thank
to
you, Roger.
say hi to our viewers.
Mhm.
We, Ramirez and Helen Kwong, thank you for watching. And please stay tuned and you can ask your questions to the content.
Yes.
Okay. And also we have someone from, um, we don't know what place is this. Hi, Eliza Fagar Hoxon. Hello. Thank you so much. And we
Yes,
also
and
have Nieva, Tita Nieva
yes,
Bordick. Hello. Thank you for watching.
and we also
So,
have Miss Luz Alquistola of the Department of Tourism.
oh,
Thank you,
hi,
Luz, for
Luz.
watching. Yes,
Yes.
yes, okay.
Awesome.
Well, with
You can,
continue
yeah.
with your initiative of reaching out to the community, we would like to congratulate you for the success of the PhilAm um, PhilAm organization. Um, how do you call that? On May 1st?
The
Yes,
General
yes,
Assembly.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do that every
congratulations.
year. We do that every year, but unfortunately this year we had to do it virtually, because we
Mhm.
still had restrictions during that time. But we hope in the coming weeks and months we would be able to accommodate more kababayan so we could have more in-person events at the consulate like we used to. So
Right.
Mhm.
hopefully next year we would be able to have the General Assembly at the Kalayaan Hall again. So we're
Uh-huh.
looking forward to that.
Yeah. Even though it's virtual ConGen, marami pa rin na nag-attend. It's over
Yes,
80 organizations, right?
yes.
Yeah.
More than
So,
100 kababayan from representing more than 80 Filipino community organizations. So, kulang pa yan actually. We have 400, di ba?
yes.
So,
Marami po tayong
so
organizations
pati,
in the
pati yung 400
Northeast. Yeah.
organization na, siguro, kailangan malaking convention center na yan, General
Uh-huh.
Assembly natin next year.
Correct, correct. All right. So,
Awesome.
Kanjan, with the reopening of New York City and other states, what are the changes or improvements of services at the consulate in the immediate future? Like, what can our kababayans expect in the coming days, especially in the number of appointment slots, passport applications, and the consular outreach missions to other states?
Well, thank you, Grace, for asking that question. Even before authorities announced the easing of restrictions that followed the outbreak of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
we assessed the problems that we are having in the consular section. We know there's this high demand for consular services. As you know, after the outbreak last year, we had to really cut the number of kababayan who we could accommodate in person sa consulate. We were closed for quite some time, as you know. And
Mhm.
when we resumed services, talagang kukunti lang yung kaya natin accommodate, not only to protect our personnel, but also our kababayan. Because we've had positive cases mga kasama namin sa konsulado. No? So we really have to adhere to the guidelines on yung capacity ng mga offices and all. So when I came in, I was aware that there's this frustration on the part of a number of our kababayan who could not get appointments online.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing online appointments, which I think is better, no, compared to having people walk in like before. I was told we could take in about 200 per day uh,
Right.
at the height of our operations prior to COVID. But pag wala kang appointment, yung problema dyan, you have to wait the entire day. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
So, sabi
Correct.
ko, okay yung appointment. At least if your appointment is at 4 p.m., marami ka pa magagawa. You don't have to come to the consulate
Mhm.
at 9 and wait. Diba?
Mhm.
So the appointment system will stay in place. But what we did after I came in was to slowly make adjustments so we could slowly raise the number of people we could serve. So effective May 1, we increased the number of kababayan who we could accommodate by 200, uh, coming up with 200 additional slots per month.
Wow.
Then
Okay.
we did more sa mga dual citizens applications, dinagdagan rin namin. So now we're back to our pre-COVID capacity.
Mhm.
So
Oh, wow.
we can accommodate more kababayan para less yung complaints, ano. So in addition, of course, sir,
Mhm.
valid yung ano, when I came in, sabi ko, valid naman yung frustration ng ating mga kababayan. Talagang if we were in their shoes, di ba, we really would complain, especially
Mhm.
with emergency cases. So, sabi ko, emergency cases, we should find a way to let them communicate with us directly. Hindi na yung
Mhm.
kailangan may kakilala namin, and sila dadan. Dapat diretso na sa atin yan. So, we've been doing that.
Mhm.
In fact, if someone with an emergency case, like a death in the family, would reach out to us and tell us na namatayan ko ako, I need to go home to bury my mother or my son, then we would immediately uh, take action on that. In fact, we did that in the case of
Mhm.
a kababayan from Connecticut whose son died in a motorcycle accident. So before the son died before May 1 when we lifted yung restrictions sa mga balikbayan. So she had to get her dual citizenship. And we did that same day to allow her to go home to bury the son.
Mhm.
We had a kababayan from Washington State whose mother also died but could not get appointments in either our consulate in Los Angeles and in San Francisco because they too are swamped. You know, they have more Filipinos there, more than 1 million yung mga kababayan natin sa California and surrounding states.
Right.
I said, if you could fly to New York, I'll swear you in my
Mhm.
and so that you could go home. And that's what he did. He was in the consulate at 9 a.m. and we processed the papers and I myself swore him in and he flew back that afternoon and the next day he was on board the plane to Manila. We could do that. But we
Mhm.
need to know. So yung sinasabi ko as observation natin, we need to let our kababayan know that pwede silang dumiretso sa atin. So uh, we're opening up new email accounts like ako, meron yung ConGen Cato at Gmail where
Mhm.
our kababayan email emergency requests or even concerns that they
Mhm.
think should deserve my attention. So, yun yung ginagawa natin. So that's one, trying to reach out to our people to
Mhm.
tell them what we're doing and what they can do to avail themselves of consular services. In addition to those additional slots, we opened our services every other Saturday. So
Mhm.
since the
That's
last
good.
part of April till now,
Mhm.
we've done 3 Saturday services, and these are intended to cater to elderly kababayan,
Right.
elderly persons with disability, pregnant
Mhm.
women,
Mhm.
children, also our frontliners. Because, alam naman natin gaano kahirap yan. I was outside the consulate and I saw uh, one lola out there,
Oh.
sama yung anak. Sabi ko yung mga senior citizens natin hindi pwedeng pumunta on their own. So
Mhm.
they need
Yeah.
to help by their children. Yung mga anak nagwo-work yan, di ba? So
Right.
para masamahan sila on a weekday, kailangan mag-day off yan. So 1 day salary yung mawawala. So why don't we, can we do this? Sabi ko sa ating mga kasama, can we do 2 Saturdays a month just to serve our people? And no, they all agreed. Our colleagues at the consulate agreed to do this every other Saturday. And we've been able to cater to the needs of a number of our kababayan the past 3 Saturdays that we've been doing this service. And now with the restrictions, more and more restrictions are being lifted.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully by next month, we would be able to resume the conduct of consular outreach
Mhm.
services in areas outside of New York City where, many of our kababayan are. So we've lined up uh, places where we would be going to up to December. But this would be
Mhm.
once a month.
Right.
So, ayan yung nakikita natin dyan. So, slowly, we would be able to uh, return to pre-COVID, our pre-COVID capacity. And, of course, we won't stop there. We will still try to improve our services because our kababayan deserve that. Diba?
Yes.
We just want to deliver effective services. Hindi lang consular, as I've said, but we also want to render effective assistance to national services. As I've
Mhm.
said earlier, we want to reach out to kababayan, especially those undocumented.
Okay.
If
Mm-hmm.
if we have kababayan who are still Filipino citizens who end up in distressful situations, we could come in and help them. So, aksidente dyan, walang insurance, pambayad sa hospital bills na we
Mhm.
could come and assist. So, maraming pwedeng gawin yung konsulado, maraming pwedeng gawin yung ating gobyerno para matulungan yung ating mga kababayan. So, it's just a matter of us, trying to bring this information out there.
Okay.
Conjen, we have
Maybe we
a
have a question.
yes from Elisa Fagar Hoxon. She's from Virginia. So sabi niya, I am a dual citizen but I don't have a valid Philippine passport. Am I allowed to go home in case of an
Yes,
emergency?
yes.
I only have a US passport.
Effective May 1, the IATF,
Mm-hmm.
the Philippines lifted restrictions. So we now allow even US citizens to go home to the Philippines. So I don't
I
think
see.
there will be problems there.
Mhm.
Okay, there you go, Elisa. That's the answer to your question. Thank you so much, Conjen. Grace, do
Right.
you want to proceed to our next
Yes, I
topic
have
with
a follow-up.
Conjen?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question on the services, Conjen. I see that you've officiated a wedding at the consulate this month, I believe. Was it your first time or
No,
nagawa niyo
so
na yun?
we do those. In fact, in Tripoli, I've officiated in several weddings.
Mhm.
Normally, in places like New York, the vice consuls and the consuls do that. But of course, I could do that as well. I've also
Mhm.
been administering the oath of allegiance to Filipinos who reacquired their
Mm-hmm.
citizenship. And naglagay nga ako ng mga, we adjusted. Sabi ko nga, ba't pag nagdudual, ganun lang ba yung parang magsiswear in lang, gano'n, tapos na. But pag nagiging US citizen sila, nagpa-party pa sila, nagsiselebrate. So, let's make it
Yeah.
memorable for them. Diba, they record, gano'n lang ba na parang, wala lang, di ba? Diba, dapat meron di ba? So I try to make it a point that when I'm available, ako yung mag-administer ng oath and you try to talk to kababayan. And
Mm-hmm.
sabi ko, dapat mag-ano sila, awitin yung pambansang awit. So,
Oo.
Correct.
If
after,
they remember pa.
dapat may flaglet siya. So, we have flags and then they take photos. So that, the requirement citizenship, you should be proud of that, di ba?
Right.
Exactly.
So, actually, sabi ko, pwede bang may bago natin pasumpaan yan? Mag-quiz muna tayo na what's the national bird? Do you know what the national bird
Yeah.
is? Di ba? Or pwede bang awitin mo yung pambansang awit para sigurado tayo na
Naalala mo pa.
yung iba nga, di ba, yung panunumpa sa watawat,
Mm-hmm.
yung iba alam pa nila panatang makabayan. Di ba?
Oo. The older ones.
Oo, alam ko pa yata yun eh. Oo.
I have this,
Marivir.
I have this friend from Connecticut who wanted to reacquire his citizenship. So he said, pupunta ako dyan para yung family. So sabi ko, para magbarong ka ha. So
Uh-huh.
sinipot naman niya. So dumating nakabarong. Sabi
Oh.
ko, alam mo bang nire-require na kayong kumanta ng pambansang awit dun sa stage doon? Sabi niya, Sabi ko. So he started, nagano sa YouTube, tapos biglang, parang,
Nag-aral.
sabi niya, nahiya ako sa sarili ko. Bakit? Yung Voltes 5 song, memorize ko, yung pambansang awit, hindi.
Oo.
So, ano ako doon sa sinabi niyang gano'n, di ba? So that's why sabi ko, we need to do this. And Grace, remember, I asked you if we could ask GMA to
Yeah.
allow us to use that
Right.
video of
Mhm.
Pamputok Awit because it presents yung history natin eh.
Right.
Mhm.
So, sabi ko, pwedeng yan yung pakita natin. Actually, pwede naman. Nasa YouTube lang yan. Play lang naman namin.
Yeah.
Para makita nila, yung mga former Filipinos na, kasi medyo matatanda, maalala nila yung history natin. Maybe they've been American citizens for a long time, di ba? So, you need to bring them back. And
Right.
yung mga anak naman nila who became Filipino citizens, makita rin nila ito yung history natin. So, yun yung gusto ko sana mangyari. So, we've been doing that now. So, as
So
part of
you are instituting it now, sir?
yes, we're just
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Marivir has plans of getting married soon. So.
Oh my God.
Diba? If we cannot remember our own history, then paano tayo? Diba? Like,
Uh-huh.
okay, like, this is one thing I observed when I was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey for the commemoration of Araw ng Kapitingan.
Mhm.
So, it occurred to me when I was in Washington, D.C., when you ask Americans about Bataan, walang nakakaalala.
They don't remember.
Mhm.
So they would say, oh, it's the street where the Philippine embassy is, Bataan and Corregidor. Okay.
Oh my God.
Or they would say, oh, it's a U.S. naval vessel. There's a USS Bataan. But they don't know or they don't remember that we fought in the Second World War together. They
Mhm.
don't know that the Philippines hosts the largest U.S. cemetery outside the United States. So, ang dami ng hindi alam about us. Diba? So,
Right.
yun nga yung isa sa mga magiging advocacies ko while I'm Consul General here is to try to raise the awareness of our American friends about the shared history between the Philippines and the United States.
Mhm.
Especially now that we're commemorating the 75th anniversary of Philippine-American relations.
Correct.
Right.
2021 marks the 75th year since the Philippines and the United States formally established diplomatic relations. So,
Mhm.
gamitin natin to para siguro matuto sila about us, di ba? They would learn about us and hopefully appreciate the Philippines and the Filipino people. So siguro if they do, there'll be lesser Asian hate crimes. We hope, di ba?
Mhm.
And,
Yes, because information is important.
sabi ko nga, bakit wala tayong masyadong monuments here, mga memorials, mga war memorials on Bataan, di ba? Ang daming namatay na Amerikano at Pilipino doon. So bakit wala? We have more Jose Rizal memorials here in the United States. Although Jose Rizal is really not connected with the US.
Mhm.
So bakit yun sa akin, okay lang yan, but we need to show yung mga connections natin with them. And we know how the Americans really revere their veterans. So if
Right.
a lot of them sacrificed with us during the Second World War, I think they will have a better appreciation of the Filipino people.
Yeah. If I may add, ConGen, the Bataan Death March was the longest in history ng Death March. We were in fact longer than Russia, although mas malamig sila, but we had the longest Death March.
Siguro yung ano doon is dahil defeat yun, di ba? Yun yung siguro kaya hindi masyadong ina-highlight dahil natalo. Pero hindi yun eh. Dapat pakita
Yeah.
yung gallantry ng mga Americans and Filipinos who fought there and stole the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. Diba? Na-setback yung timetable nila eh. So,
Right.
doon, you have two peoples working together side by side, even dying together. Yun yung papakita mo gaano kalakas, gaano kaano yung links between our two peoples, di ba?
Right.
Ito natin i-emphasize dyan. So, we hope we would be able to launch some initiatives towards this end, yung mga World War II or historical initiatives. So, we hope we could have more webinars to discuss Philippine-US history. And
Yes.
no, we really are planning to do this. I've talked to some people for us to be able to make this happen.
I'm sure the teachers would love to be engaged in
Yeah.
that, ConGen. The
We've talked to the
historians,
teachers, diba?
teachers.
I've talked to our teachers. Ang laking grupo ng mga teachers groups natin. Ang dami
Yes.
na. So sabi ko nga, in your own small way, you could help us, di ba?
Mhm.
your pupils are there. So first day of class,
Captured na yan.
you
Captured
could
audience.
probably you could
Yeah.
probably introduce yourselves. Diba? And say, I'm your teacher. I'm from the Philippines. Do you know where it is? So Philippines is the only US colony in history. We fought yung mga ganun klase. So at
Mhm.
least ma-embed sa consciousness ng mga bata.
But,
Diba?
right.
Hindi
I
yung
like
bata
that.
sabihin nila, I've read something, oh, here's my Filipino teacher from China. Diba? So we could say we're from the
Yes.
Philippines. Yung 5 minutes na yan, diba, would leave a lasting
Oo.
impression on
Mhm.
school children. So I've been telling our teachers that they really play an important role in informing in letting the American public have a better appreciation and understanding of Filipinos and Filipino Americans here in the United States.
Right.
Right.
I think ConGen AFTA is doing that also
Yeah.
during their summer classes at the paaralan sa konsulado.
Yes, but we have to go beyond paaralan. As
Right.
I said,
Mhm.
diba? Yung,
Mhm.
yung, the fact that we went virtual allowed us to reach out to more second generation Filipino
Yes, yes.
Americans.
Right. Right.
But we need to level up pa.
Mhm.
So, we need to reach out to Americans para maintindihan nila, malaman nila ano yung Pilipinas, ano tayo, ano yung
Mhm.
contribution natin sa kanila. Yun na yung next target natin. So, yung Filipino Americans, okay yan. But we need to
Tama.
level up, as I've said.
Right.
Oh, malalim na yung talakayan natin.
Yes. At marami na rin tayong
Our
mga viewers
history and
and
culture.
questions.
Yeah, but we
Yes.
are reserving some of your questions when we proceed to our questions about the Philippines. But for now, in regards to what we have been discussing, we have a comment from Vanette Colmenares. Conjen, sabi niya, how come the Panatang Makabayan is different from what I learned decades ago and the Lupang Hinirang remains the same?
Actually, ano,
She just had her dual
gusto
citizenship.
ko yung Panatang Makabayan, actually. It was in elementary. I think it was changed. It was changed also, I think, in the late 1970s. Because I know in grade 6 or first year high school, we were already using the Panunumpa sa Watawat. So I think it's the Department of Education together with the
We
National
changed it.
Historical
Mhm.
Commission that reviewed it. So wala, it was imposed on us. So they I think they have their reasons for doing that. Probably the Panatang Makabayan was done during the American period. Possibly, di ba?
Uh-huh.
Yun. Kaya pinalitan nila. But of course, yung Lupang Hinirang was composed during our for our independence in 1896. 1898, sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Senior
Okay.
moment. Sorry.
So speaking of culture, Conjen, we will proceed to another facet of culture, which is food. So Grace has a question on that.
Yes, yes. We
Kain
know
naman
that there's
tayo.
a lot.
Kain.
Maraming mga initiatives ang konsulado. But what we are excited about, Conchen, is the Filipino Restaurant Week. Well, it's a flagship project of the consulate, and we are seeing it growing. So I'm actually part of the core group for the past couple of years, and like I said, we're excited every year to invite the various or the different Filipino restaurants in the tri-state area or in the Northeast region. So, do you have any updates on that, Conjen?
Yeah,
When is it happening?
it's going to happen, of course. I don't have the exact dates, but we're looking at July.
Mhm.
And of course, before we do that, when I came in, sabi ko we should also help our small businesses, Filipino small businesses,
Right.
especially the restaurants who were also hit hard by the pandemic, you know. But I'm happy naman to hear from them that they were able to survive by catering to our frontliners. So,
Oh, yeah.
ang meals na serve, you know. So, sa consulate, it's our practice that every week we go out to
Mhm.
have lunch at
Eat.
one of the Filipino restaurants. Medyo iniikot namin yan. Hindi lang ako nakapag-post lately because pag hindi
Busy.
ako nakakapag-post, ibig sabihin busy. So,
Oo.
the last restaurant that I posted was Grill 21.
Oh yeah,
Although
in
Oh.
downtown.
I
Yep.
went to Ihawan in Woodside.
Mhm.
Then Kabayan, also in Woodside, Tito Rad's last week.
Mhm.
And do you know that there's the Kabayan food truck? It,
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I
owned
saw it.
by
it goes to the
Cherry
consulate, no,
and
it
Stelvi.
goes to the
Yeah.
consulate Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting last week. So they tried it out and it was successful. So sabi, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, nandun sila sa 45th and 5th.
Mhm.
So at least yung mga kababayan natin who go to us for consular services could go there afterwards. And
Yeah.
we're scheduled to visit other restaurants in the coming weeks. Part na yan ng ano namin. So, yan, kasama natin si tourism attaché natin, si Kiko Lardizabal.
Mhm.
He was the one who hosted yung lunch namin sa kay Tito Raj, ano? So, yan, it's Grill 21 naman yan.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Si ano rin nagbayad dyan, si Kiko. But next time ako
Out
na
of
raw.
his pocket.
Sabi
That's
ko,
so nice.
sabi ko lugi siya kasi doon tayo sa Sosarap yung may tusok-tusok.
Oh
Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
fish balls.
So we'll go around. So not just here. I think
That's
next week
interesting.
we'll be visiting our elected officials in Bergenfield. So we will, while we're in the area, we'll also do that.
Oh no,
Kasi
yeah.
gusto ko pag lumabas ako, hindi lang yung pupunta ka na tapos babalik na kami. Sabi ko, if we could meet kababayan there kahit ilan lang sila, yung kumustahin ko lang, diba?
Mhm.
So we could do that. So,
Yeah.
Marami po sa Bergenfield. Mhm.
19, we'll be going back to Cherry Hill. So sabi ko, on the way back, we should, try to meet with the members of the Filipino community there. Yung mas gusto ko kasi yung yung mga, yung puntahan mo sila.
Oo.
Yung
You
kahit
learn from them.
just a small group, kasi pag smaller group, mas nag-open up sila eh.
Mas personal po, no?
Hindi yung town hall meeting na wala,
Usually.
iya sila, and then pag natapos na yun, doon ka lalapitan.
Oo.
Diba?
Mhm.
So I think I'd like to do more of that. It's
That's
just
great.
I've been doing that also in Libya. I go around, I visit our nurses in hospitals, yung mga oil workers natin, pinupuntahan ko. So,
Mhm.
yun yung mga type ng mga gatherings na nadidiscuss mo yung mga issues na mas mabuti. Kahit, of course, nakakapagod din kung sobrang dami yan. But
Yeah.
it's something that we really want to do because we want to show that we're interested to hear what they have to say. Because, sabi ko nga, di ba, most people think that yung mga diplomats natin masyadong matataas na hindi maabot. Di ba? Shattered that impression. So sabi ko nga, in Washington, they see us engaging with influential, wealthy Filipinos. So, hindi lang naman sila yung sinaserve natin, di ba? I want to be engaged with our caregivers, our nurses, housekeepers. So, importante rin naman sila eh. So, I try to find ways to meet them. Kasi nga, alam niyo naman gaano ka hesitant yung mga undocumented natin because talagang ganun, yung trust sa government is not that high, So we
Yeah.
want to try that and show to them that government is really here to help. So I hope
That's
they would talk to us. I've also reached out to our friends in the cost-oriented movement. I was part of the cost-oriented movement.
the activists, you mean?
It's an activist in me. So, maraming pwedeng pag-usapan, di ba? Yung may shared kami, goals, di ba? It's to serve the people and help our people. So, let's talk, di ba?
That's good. So
Oh,
good, ConGen.
Nakibaka tayong pareho. So, nandito ako sa loob ng government. I'm in a position to help. So, I've reached out. Unfortunately, they have not responded yet, but I'm here. If they're willing to talk to me, I could either go to them or they could visit me at the consulate. But
It's very nice.
I'll talk
Thank
to
you,
I'll
Conchen.
talk
Yeah.
to everyone. So, sinasabi ko nga, di ba, parang, lahat tayo may political differences. I'm a career diplomat, so dapat hindi ako partisan dyan, di ba? So, lahat tayo may political beliefs, so we should respect each other for that. You may be red, you may be yellow, you may be a different color. But
Violet.
at the end of the day, we are all Filipinos. So dapat
Correct.
tayo mag-focus kung saan tayo makakatulong sa ating kababayan at sa ating mahal na inang bayan, di ba? So yun yung sana yung focusin natin. So that's what I want to do. Work with everyone. Try to get all of us together because ang daming problema ng ating bansa. And we are in a position to help. You have 4 million
Right.
Filipinos here in the United States, and they could be a potent voice in influencing U.S. policy towards the Philippines. Diba?
Agree.
So,
We agree on that.
yung problema kasi, nag-split-split, di ba? Kung ayaw
Hindi united.
mo yung naging presidente, natalo ka, gagawa ka ng sarili mong grupo, but, well, okay naman yan, di ba? But kung pinag-usapan na yung kapakanan ng ating mga kababayan dito or sa Pilipinas, when we talk about, the interest of the Philippines, we should all work together. Yun yung panawagan ko sa ating mga kababayan dito sa New York
Great.
and 9 other states in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, and thank you, ConGen, for
before we
providing
proceed-
ways to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Salamat, ConGen.
Gagawin natin.
Before
Yes,
we
Marivir.
proceed to the next question
We have
about the
a lot of
Philippines
questions.
naman, I would like to flash this to thank our sponsors. Look at that. So Grace needs
yes.
to say thank
Ating
you.
kaibigan si Josh.
Oh,
Yes,
Josh.
yes. Philippine Airlines, the heart of the Filipino, diba? So they have been our flag carrier for 80 years now and has been a preferred airline of our kababayans. Thank you to our good friend Josh Vasquez, the New York area manager, for the valuable support. Maraming
Thank
salamat,
you.
Josh. I think he's
And also-
also Orient Tours Limited, a top-notch travel agency owned by Mr. Jobert Opulencia. It is a travel agency where one discovers the world's most cultured pleasures. Thank you, Jobert, for your kind and generous support. He's
Thank
also
you. Thank you so much for the support. We are so honored. So, ConGen, punta tayo sa Pilipinas. Kasi traveling to the Philippines right now, medyo kind of a lot of people are giving us feedback that the 10-day quarantine is not kind of practical. So, do you think this is going to have there's a policy change coming to
Yesterday,
accommodate the balikbayan there?
Yesterday we had lunch with travel agencies. Jobert was there and several
Oh,
other
yes.
travel agency representatives here in New York. So pinag-usapan nga yan. But, we're coming from a situation where we had a very bad surge, diba, noong April. And this is a result of Filipinos coming home from overseas, unwittingly carrying the new COVID variants. So talagang tinamaan tayo dyan. The setback talaga tayo dyan. And whatever steps that the IATF, whatever guidelines it issues, is of course carefully studied. And we understand the frustration, diba, of our kababayan here in not just in our areas, in our area of jurisdiction, but also all across the United States and even probably in other parts of the world na bakit kailangan ma-quarantine pa, lalo na kami, vaccinated na kami. So, we should see that the government is trying to do its best to accommodate everyone. In fact, before May 1, we were not allowing non-Filipinos to go home, which was the reason why we also had a surge in the number of dual citizenship applications. But because nag-a-adjust yung situation, on May 1, we're starting to allow balikbayan, former Filipinos to go home if they want to. Government could, of course, be tough on this, but it's when that Filipino lang. But they know yung linkages, yung links between our former Filipinos here and the motherland, diba? So, nag-adjust sila dyan to accommodate them. And this quarantine that's being required, diba? This quarantine that's being required is required not hindi lang para sa mga galing sa US. Everybody has to go through it. Even our OFWs, diba?
Yep.
They have to go through it. So, right now we have the quarantine period that's being required. But, more and more people are getting vaccinated back home. So there would be adjustments in the coming weeks. We hope
Mhm.
because
That's good news.
you know, yung sinasabi nga ng mga kababayan natin, vaccinated na ako, pwede na ako ma-accept.
Mm-mm.
Pwede siguro, but then we must realize, even if we're vaccinated, we could be carrying the virus. We could be,
Right, right.
and we don't want to have another surge just because we just want to give our people yung comfort and convenience, diba? So I know a lot of people are frustrated, but please bear with our government. Please be patient. Hopefully, as more vaccines arrive, we'll get to ease up on these restrictions. By the middle of June, the 20 million doses of Moderna vaccines that we ordered
Mhm.
from the United States will arrive in the Philippines. And yesterday, during our conversations with the travel agents, we were suggesting, siguro pwedeng gumawa ng mga, yung mga bubbles, diba? I shared this comment from one kababayan who sent a message on Facebook na he wanted to go home and go to Boracay, but because of the restrictions, sabi niya, I'm spending my money in Cancun. Diba? So, sabi
Yeah,
ko,
I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
hindi ba pwedeng anuhin natin yan na yung Boracay, i-declare natin na para isang bubble, di ba? Since it has a small population, i-vaccinate na lahat yung nandun and then allow Filipinos na vaccinated to quarantine there. So para, alam mo yan, di ba? Instead na gumagastos sila sa Manila ng 10 days sa isang accredited facility,
Right.
gastusin sa Boracay. So, di ba, you hit two birds with one stone. Kasi, pag umuwi yung ating kababayan para magbakasyon, ano yan, 1 month lang yan. So,
Mhm.
10 days ba mawawala sa'yo dahil
Correct.
talaga sa ano? Kung we could declare Boracay or Siargao or El Nido as designated areas for vaccinated tourists, then we might be able to generate more income and revive the economy. As you know, the tourism industry was badly hit. So we need to start helping our kababayan who were displaced by the pandemic. So this is one thing that probably is already being explored because other countries have been doing it. So bakit hindi, di ba?
Yeah, ConGen, your idea is so
Exactly.
brilliant.
I agree on
We
that.
should listen to you.
Diba?
You should tell the
Ako
idea of that
kasi
one.
nasa Boracay ako, makakalabas nandiyan. Mag-enjoy na rin kami, di ba? So, pag natapos yung quarantine nun, so, ibang klaseng quarantine na yan, di ba? So, after that, then we could go to our families kung we test negative naman, di ba?
Right.
So, posible yan. Maybe the IATF would like to look at this. The Department of Tourism, hopefully, will look into this.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will happen, ConGen. Kasi ang dami namin gustong umuwi talaga eh.
Oo, but nakaka-turn off yung quarantine period na
And
masyadong
we need
mahaba.
to do that. But I guess, yung quarantine na yan is, we're not completely open yet. Diba? So, we're just giving an opening for kababayan who need to really go home. Diba? For them to really go home. Yung mga may emergency cases. But hindi pa yung para sa tourism and all. But as I've said, we're optimistic based on our conversations yesterday that in the coming weeks or months, we would be able to slowly open up.
Yes, thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you
Marami
so
tayong reaction, Grace,
Yes.
regarding
Oo.
that travel protocol that we
Exactly.
have. So
Oo.
I hope, Eliza, that has answered your question. Yes, we have to go quarantine if we go home to the Philippines. And certain adjustments will have to be made based on the recommendations of people, right?
I see the comment from Tess, some just
Yes.
are
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, only 2 weeks. Naubos na yan.
Yan yung sinasabi nating feedback that we need to get. So yung mga feedback na yan, we get to transmit that to Manila when we send our report. So yan yung sinasabi natin that we need to work together as a
Speak up.
community. Diba?
Yeah.
I've said, okay, yung feedback, we welcome that. Pero sana naman, when people engage us, we can do it in a way na, di ba, in a respectful,
Productive way.
manner. Di ba?
Right.
Yung you make your comment and then may sasabihin ka pang iba na
Mhm.
hindi ka rapat
Out of
dapat.
line na po.
Tataray.
I'll tell you the experience last week when we posted this photo
Oh.
as with Alice Dixon.
Oh,
Okay.
that.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
It's on
So
Facebook po.
I was really surprised when I saw the comment from one kababayan na she was complaining. Of course, we understand. As I said, we sympathize with our people who really had a difficult time getting appointments for passport renewals. Because this was before I came in and shortly, diba, we made adjustments. So, may sinasabi, talagang, you could convey it in a way that hindi, wala kang sasabihin na masyado negative. Kasi dumating pa dun sa point na sasabihin niya na inassist namin si Alice because artista siya, popular siya, gave her VIP treatment. And then dumating pa sa point, tumanggap daw kami ng lagay ng padula.
Oh,
So that's unfair, that, diba? Parang, ano na ako, you could tell us your disappointment. And I would say naman doon that Alice applied for a visa, okay, for her baby. Alam mo naman yung paano niya na ano yung baby niya. So she needs to bring it home. Infants are in our priority list, like senior citizens. So Alice lined up dun sa baba. She was served at the basement. Like the rest of our kababayan, sa basement siya sinerved. And then after she was served, she did not cut lines, ha?
She went through the process talaga.
Ito, pinose siya dun sa baba. And napaka, ano nga, yung parang imagine mo, sikat na dumaan sa proseso. So when she was done, she went up to say hello and to say thank you. And that's what people said na ito yung isang kababayan na sikat pero nagpa-thank you pa rin. Because we've helped a lot of people now pero wala akong narinig na thank you committee, but that's fine, diba?
Yeah.
But came up to say thank you. We're just showing that. But some, of course, didn't like that. But that's their opinion. And I've explained na wala naman VIP treatment doon. So lahat dapat VIP.
Pare-parehas lang.
So, when you reach out to us, when you tell us your concerns, please try to do so in a manner na hindi naman tayo nakakapanakit ng loob.
Right.
May comment pa doon, laos na yan. Do we have to say that?
Yeah.
Kung mag-comment tayo, let's be mature. Let's be respectful because mas may ma-accomplish tayo pag nag-uusap tayo in such a mature manner.
And they do that offline also, di ba?
Oh, so yung mga nagko-comment are even here in the United States. Although some are. So, yun yung sinasabi natin na, the consulate is not perfect. May mga sablay kami. And our people are human, di ba? We make mistakes. I told our colleagues, sabi ko, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Di ba? Pero once na-identify mo na mistake and then we keep on doing that, then may problema.
Yes.
Diba? It's okay. Kasi baka natatakot sila But I said, no, we should not be afraid to make mistakes because that's where we learn. So sabi ko, maybe next week we would have our IDs so people would be able to identify us. Yeah. It works both ways. So if sumablay ka, pumalpak ka, they could they could
identify.
tell me it's this person who was involved. So I could ask ano ba nangyari. But at the same time, if you do good, I also received comments. ConGen, I was processed quite fast by your staff whose name is ganyan. So it works both ways. Of course, diba, we don't solicit yung mga gestures na ganyan. So it has to be spontaneous coming from our kababayan if they think that we serve them well. They would appreciate such comments from them. Para at least naman ganahan lalo yung ating kasama sa baba. And also, while I tell our people, our colleagues at the consular section that always try to put yourselves in the shoes of our kababayan and on the other side of the window, I also would like to ask kababayan who transact with us na sana intindihin rin natin yung mga kasama namin who are working there. No? Kung minsan, yung baka nainip na kayo, sabihin nyo matagal, or bakit ganito yung service. So, try to also consider kung konti lang naman, pagpasensyahan na lang, maybe our colleagues didn't have breakfast or didn't have lunch, nakakapag-CR dahil ang dami. So, ganun lang naman yun, diba? Kung unless talagang serious problem, then
Correct.
sana magkaintindihan tayo on that. Ano. But of course, kung talagang pumalpak kami, we really would own up to it and apologize and try to make sure that we don't repeat such mistake. Uh, we had the problem a few weeks ago when we had the foreign national spouse of a Filipino who insulted some of our colleagues in the consular section. So, hindi pwede yung ganun na pagsasabihan mo yung consular officer. Imagine if a Filipino does that at the US Embassy, ano mangyayari? Magdideny yung visa mo, di ba? So this, hindi ko papalampasin yung ganito. So I recommended that foreign national be blacklisted and not be allowed to enter the Philippines. Hindi pwedeng insultuhin ng
Yes.
ating mga kasama in the consulate. Hindi ako papayag doon.
Right.
Thank you, ConGen. There's a comment from Attorney Elizabeth Cueva, the one that we just talked about a few minutes ago. She calls that tourism quarantine,
Yeah, okay.
which is very
Right,
an
right.
appropriate name. And also we have a comment from Jobert Opulencia. If I may read it, when the situation allows, will you recommend the Department of Tourism to reconsider the relaunching of Bring Home a Friend?
Yes. Actually, even before our lunch yesterday, in some of my engagements with kababayan, nung bata pa tayo, di ko alam kung
Bata tayo.
Nung bata pa tayo in the 1970s, the Department of Tourism had this program called Bring Home a Friend. Diba?
Yes.
So, sabi ko nga, yung number one source of tourism arrivals in the Philippines are from the United States, di ba? But these are Filipinos and Filipino Americans. Hindi to Americans na pumupunta doon for tourism purposes. We want more of them to come in, di ba? So, we have 4 million dito. Siguro naman, yung 4 million na may mga kaibigan na Amerikano. So, kahit 1 million na lang sa mga kababayan, or even 500,000 na lang sa ating mga kababayan na uuwi when the time comes for us to start allowing international travelers to come to the Philippines. Pwede naman na pagsama yan. May mga anak tayo, gagraduate, may mga barkada yan, di ba? Fellow Americans or even Americans, African Americans. Pwede naman natin isama yan so they would experience the Philippines themselves and go beyond the lumpia that we feed them, di ba? So, ano yan, di ba? Yung kaya naman natin gawin eh. So, I've talked to our tourism attaché. We've discussed a lot of ideas on how we could boost yung tourism arrivals natin from here. I mentioned Bataan and World War II, di ba? You've seen a lot of American tourists go to Normandy to pay respect to their war dead there. Ang dami nilang war dead sa Philippines. So, bakit ilan yung pumupunta doon to pay respects to their loved ones buried there? Pwede naman, di ba? Ang dami nating mga plus points. Bakit marami pumupunta sa Thailand, for instance, when hindi naman lahat ng mga tiga doon ay English-speaking compared to us. So, hindi natin push out yung information, yung connection between our two people. So, that's what we should really be working on. And hindi naman siya mataas na target eh. We could do it, di ba? How many thousands of Americans served in the Philippines starting from the early 20th century up to 1992 when the bases were closed? Tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of Americans. You have Americans born in the Philippines at Clark and Subic. Yun na nga lang, di ba? Pwede mo ma-convince you go back and see the place where you were born and explore the rest of the Philippines. So, ang dami niyan. When I was in Washington, we worked with the veterans of the U.S. Air Force who served at Clark. And we had the Balik Clark program where we had the support of the Angeles City government. So, kahit ko konti lang yan, at least meron. But if we really put some resources in disseminating information, I'm sure more Americans would want to go to the Philippines. Not
That's
just
right.
for pati mga luxury tours, di ba? Yung kausap namin yung isa kahapon, sabi, ang dami yung mga resorts na 5-star. And maraming mayayaman na Amerikano na gusto rin yan at hindi nila alam. So, kailangan we should really invest a bit more. Pero kung hindi naman ganun kamahal yan, di ba? Well, it's
Right.
something really doable.
Doable, and
Correct.
it's just a
Yes.
matter of being creative, ConGen.
Mhm.
So we have a
We should be thinking out of the box.
think out
Yeah.
of the box. From Mencho De Luna, who is a nurse. Thank you so much,
Yes,
ConGen,
thank you, Menchu, for
for
tuning
your
in.
positive output and ideas, and for getting hopeful for a continuous good consular services. Thank you, Grace and Marivir. Marivir, that's Marivir.
Yeah, thank you, Menchu.
For the kind words. We hope we would be able to do that, you know. Yan naman yung goal natin to be able to really serve our people and for the consulate in terms of providing better services to our kababayan here.
Right.
Right.
So you have a question, Grace, about the Philippine elections?
Yeah, I think we have one more question from
Electron.
Elisa. Yeah. One more question pa po about the services of the consulate. Can the embassy facilitate
Here it is.
birth and marriage certificate? We are willing to pay for the additional service.
Yeah, we can. It's not an additional service. Ay, may expedited service na yan.
Yes.
It depends. Yeah, you could, Elisa, you could message me on Facebook, ano? So I would know exactly what kind of assistance you require. Just message me on ConGen Elmer Cato sa Facebook.
Awesome.
Ayan.
So
Thank you,
this
ConGen.
is one thing we would, I've been answering. We have the Facebook page of the consulate.
Alright.
So kami yung sumasagot yan. Sometimes ako, sometimes the other officers, si DCG Arman, si Vice Consul Tanya, Vice Consul Gucci,
Abuela.
Vice Consul Paolo, kami yung sumasagot yan. And I've noticed dun sa mga pagsasagot, ang dami na parang ba't hindi natin masagot-sagot to. But sabi ko, we need to answer because kailangan masagot yan. So we really make it a point to answer. But then while on my way to Rochester last week, since nasa kotse naman ako, we made time. So I was going through the questions. Yung mga questions could easily be answered by going to the website, www.tcgnewyork.org. So what are the requirements for passports? Imagine mo kung akong mag-aano dyan, you have to type or you have to get the link and then put. But it's already there. The information is already available online. So sabi ko, we need to tell our people to help us by going to the website first. And then kung hindi masagot yung tanong doon, then doon pumunta sa amin.
That's
Like,
the time.
kompleto ako na requirements except for this. So kaya po bang tanggapin to requirements na to, di ba? So, imagine mo yung time spent just answering those queries na kung pumunta sa website, makakabawas sa ano naman yan, di ba, dun sa effort. So even the phones, people are complaining, you don't answer your phones. This has been a problem for a long, long time, 2 decades old problem. But alam niyo naman, even if you call other consulates here in New York, hindi rin sasagutin yan kagad sa dami ng mga tawag. We can only answer if we have a dedicated call center for this, but unfortunately, we don't. So, yung mga si Risa, yung ating receptionist ang nakakatanggap ng mga tawag, it's pcgnewyork.org, hindi pcgnewyork.org. Kasi iba yung digital.
PCG New York.
Nagkamali ako. Parang dating site yung nakita ko nung nasubukan ko eh.
PCG.org.
So yun yung gusto nating hit sa ating mga kababayan. That, tulungan nyo rin kami. Kasi tatawag kayo sa phone and then you'll ask about the requirements. It's gonna clog the system when there may be other important calls from kababayan probably in distress that we could answer. So, ako ako rin naman, when we were in Washington, gano'n rin yung naging problema. Hindi makakalusot yung tawag kasi talagang we're swamped. And if we answer the phones, hindi na kayo makakapagtrabaho kasi the phones just keep on ringing. So yung nagiging policy dyan, at the end of the day, we try to return calls. Diba? We try to return calls. But of course, sabi ko, we need to be to do more so that we could help our kababayan who need information. So, yung ginawa nga natin ngayon, yung sa Facebook, when you send a message to us, may auto-response na yan. Yung email, we're launching my personal email where I would be able to respond directly to kababayan for special cases. So, it's congencato@gmail.com. Hindi naman ito like yung isumbong mo kay Kato, hindi, di ba? Ipaalam nyo kay ConGen. Ipaalam kay ConGen. Kasi, di ba? That's the fastest way for me to see. So, kung makita ko may problema, they bring it straight to me. I could, act on it right away. And I always try to respond. In Iraq, in Libya, I personally replied to messages sent on Facebook to me, on Twitter, Instagram. I try to reply, but of course, if you compare Iraq and Libya with New York, mga barangay lang 2,000 Filipinos, but New York has 300,000 Filipinos and Filipino Americans under its jurisdiction. But still, I try to respond. So please follow or add me on Facebook, yung ConGen Elmer Cato, and I have another one. It's Consul General Elmer Cato. That's a page.
Yes.
And in addition to that, we also, I think you're members of the Kapulungan already, di ba? Kapulungan. Right. It's a new platform that we launched exclusively for members of the Filipino and Filipino American community to allow us to discuss issues, to allow us to feel the pulse of our kababayan in the northeastern United States. Bakit nag-launch tayo ng ganito? Bakit hindi tayo mag-discuss dun sa consulate Facebook page? Hindi pwede kasi kuminsan nakikialam yung mga ibang lahi na wala naman issue dyan. We had a problem in Iraq where they were doing this webinar on the Overseas Filipino Bank. And all of a sudden, ang daming pumasok na mga comments from non-Filipinos, for instance. So, ayaw na natin makisawsaw yung mga ibang nationalities sa mga issues natin. So that's why we have that kapulungan. So please add people here. So I think we have 200 members there by now. So that's where we would announce, services and other issues that we may want to discuss with the community. And sabi ko rin, siguro we should have regular town hall meetings, kahit online lang, di ba? Kahit virtual town hall meetings lang. We would be in direct touch with our kababayans. We really need feedback. We need to hear from them. Kasi
Thank you.
Diba?
Thank you.
Yes.
And shout out to Bing Cardenas Guanigan. Yes, hello Bing. Thank you for watching. And she says, ConGen, that the New York consulate jurisdiction is huge. The FB and website is a great help to disseminate information. Thank you, ConGen Elmer.
So thank you for your accessibility, ConGen.
Yes.
Yung Q&A, yung mga frequently asked questions. Sabi ko, kuha nga tayo ng ano dyan. Sabi ko, kuha tayo ng mga community leaders, di ba? Who would ask the question and then we would, mga video na, then just put them in one album sa FB para we could lead our people there. Like, ano yung requirements sa mga dual citizenship. So we could do that.
Right.
Oh, there's the shout out from the office of the Philippine Consulate.
Mali
pa rin. Tama na ito.
Tama na siya. Ayan o.
New York
PCG
pala. Baliktad.
New York
New York is
Yeah,
Thank you so
Yes.
much
sabi nga,
for giving that information.
Yes.
I,
Another
I have,
comment
I have a
from Helen Kwong.
I have a very good public diplomacy team yan since
Uh-huh.
Beverly yan.
Yes, that's
So,
amazing,
magaling
ConGen.
yung team natin.
Uh-huh.
So, we're pushing out a lot of information for our kababayan. So,
Right.
parang ano sila eh, parang nabigla sila sa, alam mo na, di ba? Because I was a journalist, I was
Uh-huh.
asked for public diplomacy. So,
Mhm.
demanding ako when it comes to that. So, but
Yeah,
they're learning fast, and
Uh-huh.
I'm proud to be working with them and the rest of our
that's good.
colleagues at the
Yeah.
consulate. Sabi ko nga, New York is one of the best posts, and Manila sent the best people here. So let's make sure that your expectations ng tao would be met. So I'm
Awesome.
happy to be really working with them.
Yeah, we have from Helen
Yes.
Kong, ConGen. Thank you,
Yes.
ConGen Elmer Cato. And thanks to Marivir and Grace. Thank
Thank
you
you,
too,
Helen.
Helen.
Helen, kumusta?
God bless.
And
Uh-huh.
Bing
May ano
says
kayo?
Also,
good
Bing.
dialogue. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Bing.
let's
All
proceed to
right.
our next
Yes, I
question
have a question, Conje. All right, the
about politics.
presidential elections will be next year na.
Mhm.
Until when po ang registration for our kababayan? And how do we encourage them to register?
If I'm not mistaken, September 30. Uh,
Uh-huh.
wala kaming absentee voting ano sa Iraq and Libya kasi. So
Mm-hmm.
first time I'll be involved in this. So you know, we Filipinos have a role to play, especially next year when we choose our new leader.
Right.
Talking to one member of the Filipino community, as I've said earlier, marami tayong differences. We support different candidates, and this is gonna happen again next year. So, sana, diba, I shared the opinion of that kababayan of ours who said na sana pag natapos na election, diba, whoever wins, whether we supported him or not, we just respect the will
Mm-hmm.
of the people and rally behind the leader. I've served several presidents in the more than 2 decades I have been in the foreign service, and it's really difficult to be there to lead the country, especially now. We have a lot of problems, and you know, ang hirap, di ba? If I put myself in the shoes of the president, it's really very difficult to solve everything. We have problems with the pandemic. We have issues in the West Philippine Sea and all. So sana magkaisa na lang tayo and support ba the leader whoever she or he may be. Dahil kailangan tayo ng ating bansa, ng ating inang bayan. So sana ganun na lang yung gawin natin next year. Of course, you our kababayan abroad have a big role to play in selecting our leader. Hopefully, we choose the right person who would lead us and lead us effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So, sana kung sino man yung manalo, suportahan na lang natin dahil gano'n naman yung democracy, di ba? So, wag na yung ilan ba yung presidents that I've served, di ba? So, parang palaging gano'n eh. Kung sino may magko-comment na ganyan, we try to bring him or her down, hindi nakakatulong.
It's like very partisan.
Especially,
Mhm.
if you've seen the economic transformation of the country, we could actually still do more. But when we raise various issues with the intent to really bring down government, then it's not the leader we're actually hurting.
Mhm.
It's our kababayan and the country. So sana we would realize that as members of the Filipino American community here in the United States na sana gawin natin yung nararapat para sa ating mga kababayan at para sa inang bayan.
Yes.
Great.
And
Well said.
Marivir, yeah, we have a lot of positive feedbacks from our viewers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
most
From
are
Tess.
members of our community, of course. So we have one from Tess de la Cruz. So
Mhm.
far, consular services has improved a lot.
Mhm.
It's a feedback from friends and family, especially from Conjen Maria de Leon to the president. So hope it will be so much better with Conjen Cato.
Lahat
Awesome.
naman kami, di ba? So
Yes.
lahat naman ng ConGen dyan, yung desire naman namin is
Mhm.
to be able to deliver effective consular services.
Mhm.
So, importante rin yung, as I've said, yung feedback.
Right.
So, hindi kami perfect na, hindi kami
Mhm.
sasablay, hindi kami papalpak. Meron yan eh.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but it's important nga that you give us feedback.
Mhm.
Yan, so kung meron yan, may mali kami or may tama kami ginagawa, then we would make the corresponding actions
Mhm.
to do that. So, we hope we would be able to do better in the coming weeks and months.
I'm sure with that
Actually, it
kind
will be. Yeah.
of attitude and drive, Conjen, for sure.
Yeah.
We have from Maria Pilar Monje. Thank you, Conjen Cato, for trying hard to make the consulate closer and more accessible to the constituents.
Actually,
Thank you so much.
you share ko yung ano natin, experience natin sa Libya and even Iraq. When I was there,
Uh-huh.
people didn't know that what the embassy was doing. That some people didn't even know we were there. So,
Mhm.
what's
Oh,
the point of having an embassy there when hindi ma-feel ng tao, ng ating mga kababayan, yung presence namin? So, we went out, even if Baghdad was dangerous at that time, we really went out of our
mhm.
to, to look for our kababayans and engage them.
Mhm.
We went to Kurdistan where most of our kababayan are, kahit, mahirap doon. Uh,
Mm.
in Tripoli, ganun din. We went to hospitals to try to meet people. Ginagate crush namin yung mga birthday parties.
Talaga.
To make them know that we're here. Hindi kami yung mga akala nyo matatas na tao na hindi nyo pwedeng kausapin and all.
That's
Nakikipag,
nice.
pag kumakain, nagkakamay kami. Kung nagkakamay sila, we're just ordinary people. We're just public servants. And
It's
so,
important.
that's one way for us to earn their trust. So sabi ko nga, when I was there, yung embassy, sabi nila, sir, hindi kami maka-access sa embassy, parang we don't feel welcome. Sabi, hindi. The embassy is your house. But I changed that eventually and said, hindi nga house, bahay, hindi nyo bahay ko. It should be tahanan. Tahanan natin. You should feel welcome. And I have this friend a journalist friend from Pampanga who told me that many years back, he was here in New York, he was in Manhattan, and he saw the huge Philippine flag on Fifth Avenue.
Mhm.
Of course, whenever you see the Philippine flag, di ba? You feel proud. Imagine, nasa New York ka, may Philippine flag. Di ba? So,
Yes, yes.
pumasok siya sa Philippine Center. And, he was greeted by one of the receptionists there and said, anong ginagawa mo rito? Anong kailangan mo? Ba't ka nandito?
Allah.
Hindi
Oh, no.
pwede yan. Hindi pwede yan. Diba?
Right.
Oh.
Kung malaki lang yung space ng consulate, we would want our people to come in and feel at home. Diba? Yun yung gusto sana na, diba? Limited, alam niyo naman, most of you have been there, masikip, and all. But hopefully in the near future, we would again be able to open the doors so people could come in, see the art exhibits that would be there or other exhibits that we would be putting up. I want more cultural events. Sabi ko, pwede bang hindi na yung we have this sinehan sa summer, but pwede bang hindi lang sa summer, pwede bang every week may
Every year.
Yeah.
diba?
Oo, maraming movies to watch eh.
So, maraming indie films na pwedeng dyan,
Right.
diba? I mean, we could stream them also, but para lang may activities tayo as part of the new normal,
Right.
Awesome.
So yun yung gusto nating ma-experience. And I'm happy, based on the feedback of our kababayan. They said yung mga receptionists make us really feel at home. They've been helpful, very respectful. So I'm happy with that kind of comments. And in fact, kababayan who go to the consulate to avail themselves of services have to fill up a client feedback form. And I've seen the forms.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Some of them give excellent rating. But of course, syempre, may mga kababayan rin tayo na siguro, medyo mataas yung expectations na nagbibigay rin ng satisfactory. But marami din sa nakita ko in the past 2 months that I've been here are excellent yung rating. But of course, minsan may problema. Of course, we cannot satisfy you, di ba? But I'm happy with that kind of feedback because, allows our colleagues in the consular section to know that our people are happy with the kind of service that they extended.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay,
I
Kanchen.
see.
So before we wrap up, one last question na po. Our 123rd Philippine Independence Day celebration is coming up. So what is in store for our community?
But yung PINC will have
Mm-hmm.
flag raising mass and virtual parade.
Mm-hmm.
We have other Filipino community organizations that are also planning their own activities. And it's not just June 12th, Independence Day, that
Mm-hmm.
we have to anticipate. As I've said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
2021 marks the 75th year of the declaration of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Philippines
Mm-hmm.
and the United States.
Right.
So by July 4, we would also have to
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm.
marking this occasion. And there are
Mm-hmm.
activities lined up, and please follow the consulate
Mm-hmm.
Facebook page and the website so we could announce these events for you to be able to participate in either virtually or in person if allowable.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay,
So that's
Marivir, you
something
have
to look
another
forward
question?
to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have, you know what, how much our overtime is? It's 30 minutes.
Overtime na ba? Kala ko,
Overtime.
kala ko
Hindi po
3
natin
hours.
napansin.
Kala ko 3
No.
hours.
I know you can go on and on, Conjen. I know
Right,
the
right.
power of the
Uh-huh.
journalist in you na go lang ng go. Thank you
Sorry,
for your
matutol ako
time.
Sorry,
Yeah.
matutol ako masyado.
Oh, no, no, of course. You have
No, we
to. Thank you
appreciate it
very
po
much.
because we are able to give out
Sometimes I
more
talk too much.
information.
I end up in trouble for talking too much.
Hindi naman, not this time. Thank you
It
so
was
much for
such
your
a
time,
pleasure po
Conjen.
talking to you, Kanshan. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you for having me.
See you around
Sige.
in the
Sige
consulate.
po.
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat at sa lahat naman nanonood. Maraming salamat po.
See you po.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kanshan.
Conjen.
Have a good evening.
There you go, Conjen. Thank you so
Wow.
much again. You can stay over. We still have a little surprise for our audience. So
Yeah,
this
and
is
of
our
course,
second segment.
Marivir, let's thank the consular staff, Deputy
Yes,
Consul General Armand Talbo, Vice Consul Tanya Ramiro, and all the hardworking staff
Marian, the
of the New York
Secretary of
Philippine
Conjen.
Consulate. Yes, Miss Marian, thank you so much.
Yes,
Mabuhay po kayo.
the power behind Conjen. And
Correct.
so we are going to raffle off a prize
Yes.
for our viewers. They will just have to call us.
Mm-hmm.
And look at
And
this, Grace.
the
What is it? What
prize
is the
is, of
prize?
course, it's sponsored by Orient Tours. We're
Mhm.
giving away. What are we giving away? One night stay at a hotel of your choice in the US, except
Mhm.
Hawaii and Puerto Rico. Again, that's courtesy
Yes.
of Orient Tours, owned by Mr. Jobert Opulencia. Okay, all you have to do is call.
Call our
And,
number,
yeah, call our number, which is 917
917.
858 2356 to win the
Yeah.
prize. Okay,
You
so
can call now
call
so
now.
that
You don't have to answer
um,
a question. We just want to thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us with
uh-huh.
the conversation with Consul General Elmer Cato. All right, so please
Yes.
call 917-858-2356. Okay, I think
Yes.
we have one caller.
You have a caller?
Yes,
Wow.
hold on. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, may I have your name?
This is Josie
Josie
Torre.
Pore. Can you spell your last name? Josie?
Torre.
Okay, Josie Torre. Okay, you just won an overnight stay at a hotel in the US. So I will
Have
give you
fun.
a call back. Okay, later
Thank you so much.
to let you know how to claim the prize. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Josie. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And Grace, before we
Yes.
close, we would like to plug in this event in relation to
Mhm.
the celebration of the Asian American Heritage Month, we have an activity on May
Mm-hmm.
25 from 7 to 8:30. This is brought to you by the Foundation for Filipino Artists, also in collaboration with Kinding Sindao and the International Women's uh, Art International Women Artists. So here they are going to showcase different talents of
Mm-hmm.
Filipino Americans in celebration of the Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. So
Wow,
this is
that's
this is I'm looking forward to watch this, and this
okay.
is
It's on May
colorful,
25. Oh, it's
colorful.
virtual. Okay.
It's virtual.
Mm-hmm.
You will see the artworks of different Filipino
Mm-hmm.
artists, and there will be songs and dances. So this
Okay.
will enrich our soul.
Where can
So
they register, Marivir?
it is on Facebook, and
Okay.
there is also a press release sent to Awesome Online Magazine, which is
Mm-hmm.
a partner to this event. So you can check it out there. It's a
I
Zoom
will check
event.
it out. Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you
that's
for
about
the
it for
information.
this evening, Grace. It's been
Well,
a wonderful evening.
an hour and a
Very
half
busog na
conversation with
busog
Con.
ako
Oo nga.
sa
Yes, we
information.
again thank you, Consul General Cato, for the information, and
Yes.
yeah, for taking the time to to
To
join us
join
in our
us.
show.
Must be
Yeah.
busy. I think we are his fifth engagement today, on a Saturday. Thank you.
Yes. Oo,
This
maraming
is not
salamat
going
sa
to
mga
be the
viewers.
last. Meron
No,
pang
no,
marami
no.
kaming questions, Conjen. Thank you so
Marami
much.
pa.
Yes. And
Okay.
I hope you
Yes.
keep healthy, Conjen, and everybody in the staff too at
Yes.
the
Oo.
Philippine Consulate. That's
Please do
most
not gain
important
more
para
weight.
ganado at healthy ang service, right?
Oo nga eh. Kasi he's been visiting Filipino restaurants eh. So please do not gain any more weight. You'll carry again.
Keep healthy exercise as well.
Yes.
Well, that goes to for us too, Grace.
Exactly. Okay, Marivir.
Okay. Thank you so much to our viewers,
Mm-hmm.
and hope to see you again next week, next Saturday. We
Next
will surprise
Saturday.
you. We will surprise you. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you to
Another
our
interesting discussion. Yep.
yep. And so
Mhm.
good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Grace, for this wonderful,
But there's more
engaging
comments
conversation.
coming in.
We have a lot. We have a lot
Yes.
of
Thank you, Tess. Thank you, Manchu.
content. Mahal na
Helen.
mahal ka ng mga
Yes.
kababaihan,
Wow.
ng mga women leaders.
Ating,
All right. So good night and God bless everyone. Take care.
yes. Keep watching Issues and Inspiration. See you next week.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Good night.